Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for a squat and deadlift day, and I decided I'm going to start working the box squats back in. I've built pretty monstrous squats in the past, focusing on box work and good mornings. Now obviously as I'm messing with these a little bit, we can see that I'm not at my old strength levels on these, but context, keep in mind what I was squatting back when I was doing that. I'm not going to give any numbers. If people go back and watch the old stuff, they'll remember. They'll be like, oh God. Yeah, I mean, I was putting up pretty big numbers at the time. And I kind of backed off on squatting to work on other stuff. And it's mainly because I really hate squatting. But I do need my squat well back up into the fives. I mean, I don't have to get it as good as it was at one time to be happy. Somewhere up into the 500s, mid fives would be a real good place. So let's work on doing that, but I'm going to do it power squatting. All right, today for deadlifts, I left a lot in reserve. Friday, I dealt with some heat exhaustion from training earlier in the morning. I really was messed up that night, like actual medical level symptoms. I'm fully recovered now, but my hands are really, really fatigued. So I'm like, let's not push this deadlift set all out. We did a nice good hold on rep 5. I'm just going to call it there. Since I'm going to build my posterior chain off all these other movements, is it that big of a deal? I don't think that it is. 5 reps to 500 with that bar was good and challenging on my grip. Yes, we know that I did 8 on Friday with it. It still counts as a quality work set. There's still going to be training stimulus. And like I said, quite frankly, I need to watch the amount of limit sets I'm doing on deadlifts. But the other thing is my hands are really beat up from all the grip work. Like I could tell just when I grabbed that bar that my hands hurt with the 405. So we're going to have to build it up gradually because I am doing all the extra grip work and I'm using that power bar. So I decided we would use this bar for good morning since this is what I box squatted with today. I'm like, well, let me go over run the SSB. I really like both bars. I've been a lot stronger with the cambered bar, meaning I think the most I've ever really hit a solid, like that I would count the rep with the SSB was like 421 for a good morning, but I've done 555 with the cambered bar. But I was squatting more than that at the time with that same bar. So we're going to use these to build back up. Respectively, what would I like to see for some numbers on these? At least 300 for 10s with this bar. I'd like to see 400 for 10s with the cambered bar. Like those are good metrics to aim for. Like they're good metrics to aim for. Again, work the box squats back up. I'm just going to do box squats with a wide stance. Notice I was struggling just a little bit with the hip mobility there, getting those exact knee angles I want. But I've also hit some real big boxes with those sort of angles. I've hit some big squats with those angles. So again, the whole idea is going to be I'm just going to power squat. I'm not going to worry about some high bar stuff. I'm going to do a lot of the SSB. I'll use the cambered bar some too. Work off the box and build that power squat up. And just come in and just basically good morning the squat up if I have to. Get my max good morning up into the 500s again. And it's kind of like what Louis Simmons had always said, and I agree. You get your good morning as strong as your target squat, you'll never really miss a squat. Because you'll just good morning your way through it if you have to. And it works. It's a completely viable strategy. Guys out there who've squatted 800 pounds using that approach. So work the good mornings. I stopped at only 2 sets of the glute ham raises. After doing the good mornings, these get real hard real quick. And I had a lot of cramping on Friday from doing 3 sets of both. So I'm like, let me come in. I did 3 real good sets of those good mornings. They were challenging. 2 sets of this gives me 5 really good work sets for my posterior chain. And then we just do the reverse hypers is more restoration. It still has a training response. We still get bigger from it. Mainly getting that spine back in traction, the glute work, the recovery work for everything, right? Pulling the spine back apart to make up for the good mornings. And I've used that approach before quite successfully with a heavy focus on good mornings and then using reverse hypers to recover from it. It's worked very good for me in the past. For building my squat, my deadlift builds off of these glute ham raises, right? Glute ham raises, rows, reverse hypers, they build my deadlift. And we'll keep pushing the deadlift up. But like I said, these days I'm really limited on grip with the deadlift. So using the power bar and really kind of challenging my grip on my deadlift workouts, I think is going to be the way forward. And even if my deadlift muscles don't get the most stimulation because my grip is a bit of a limit, that's okay because we're going to do all this other stuff. We're going to do good mornings. We're going to do glute ham raises, reverse hypers. It will build everything up. Again, strategies I've successfully used. Because my deadlift isn't really the strongest it's ever been. Like they're forgetting. I've pulled 625 off deficits. But again, we come back over what was like good morning at the time, like 550 good morning. Right? I was squatting 600, doing 550 good mornings. Yeah, of course I was deficit pulling 625. Okay. A few years ago, I'm in another age bracket in a lighter weight class, but I'm also leaner. So I don't think that age bracket or that weight class is going to matter that much. Again, just keep progressing at this stuff, continue moving forward, incorporating strategies I've used in the past. Because again, I just hate training the squat. This allows me to use some of these methods, let me train the squat without having to really do the squat. And I've done it before, perfectly viable. I've done it with clients. Some of my strongest squatters, not necessarily the strongest, but in the top tiers, didn't really do much back squatting. A lot of box work, a lot of good mornings. I built some real big squats for some guys who you wouldn't think at their body weight could do them. And I've used it myself. So that's what we're going to do. Keep it moving forward. Keep building the posterior chain. But I've got to hit these different angles. Those box squats and good mornings hit different. So I'm going to have to watch that little bit of DOMs I'm going to get from it. Just like today, my triceps hurt again. Having triceps DOMs from those skull crushers. All right? Now we got to focus on recovery, right? Focus on recovery from here. So I hope it has been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.